Welcome once again to Half Baked. This is the podcast where two Northerners argue a point. One of us is going to present a half baked idea for us to debate and decide ultimately whether it should be fully baked or whether it should be thrown in the bin. Some ideas are going to be serious, some ideas are going to be frivolous. We'll trace the whole gamut from fecund to moribund. And it's all about seeing where we get to. And we're going to kick things off in traditional fashion by me saying, Phil, how are you? Where are you? And what are you wearing?
Well, Alistair, thank you for asking. And fecund, I don't think I'm familiar with the word fecund. I play quite a lot of hangman with my children. In fact, I'm always trying to come up with words to use in hangman, but I don't think I would get away. I think fecund would be a quite good word to use, but I don't think I can get away with it because I don't think anybody will have ever heard of it before, ever. Is it actually in the dictionary?
Yeah. I don't make this up. Well, I mean, I occasionally do, but on this occasion, I haven't made it up.
Okay. Anyway, I'll go back to your question. So here I am again, in sunny Silicon Valley. Today I'm wearing my heart on my sleeve.
Okay.
And
Let's have a look.
well, I can't actually show you right now. And I'm also wearing Daisy Dukes, but that's a different story. I'm not actually completely made that up.
You're wearing Daisy Dukes what?
Anyway, many of our viewers who they will know what Daisy Dukes are, but they may not be aware of the origin of Daisy Dukes or ever have seen the programme. And we can talk about Roscoe P. Coltrane's dog at some point, but not today. So I'm going to turn the question around and ask you, Alistair, how are you? Where are you? And what are you wearing?
Flash. That's not it.
Flash. It is. That's the name of his dog. And
that wasn't an instruction. Please don't flash, particularly if you're wearing Daisy Dukes. That was the name of Roscoe Coltrane's dog. I seem to remember. I'm in Twilight, Yorkshire. I'm wearing silk and modal, whatever that is, and a bit of Reese in my sports cardi. And I'm pretty good. I'm really looking forward to today's topic because it's all to do with sports, and in particular, well, I'll tell you what. I'm not gonna steal your thunder, Phil. This is your idea. You introduce it. Tell us what it's all about, and we'll see whether we like the idea or not.
yeah, so the half baked idea this week is that Spectator Sports are rubbish and they're pointless and should be banned. There shouldn't be anybody watching any sport ever. Just get rid of it. Let's not bother anymore. It's just like what are you all doing? I went to an American football game against my better judgment about 4 months ago, something like that, on a Sunday afternoon. And it was quite a revelation to me because I walked into this stadium and, oh my God, it was Sunday afternoon. And there was something like 50,000 people in this stadium, Levi Stadium. And, this is what the Americans do on a Sunday afternoon. They go to and watch American football. And that in itself was a revelation. But what have you not got nothing better to do with your time than to watch somebody else running around on a field? It's just terrible. Now, part of the problem is I've never had any affiliation with the sports.
Right.
I mean,
okay.
Who cares? I mean, I'm not on the field actually scoring the goal, and never could be because I'm terrible at it. But not just not talking about American football. Any sport, cricket, football, basketball, you name it, I'm terrible at it.
You're rubbish at sport.
Yeah, rubbish. But why are you all stood around? Why do you get so worked up about, oh, my team's winning? It's nothing to do with you. You were not in any way involved in the win. So I can see how the players, they might get excited at the end if they win. They might be demoralised if they lose. Yeah, the people who are actually playing and it's actually their game, I can see how they'd get really into it. But you're not. You're a spectator. you're nothing.
So, okay, so your beef isn't against sport per se, and it's kind of not even against spectators, really. You just kind of you're separating the two from each other, and you're saying you've got no the affinity that you're feeling for this team is arbitrary and made up and isn't real. Is that right? Have I got that?
Well, it might be real, but it's kind of silly. Like, yeah,
Hmm.
but I don't feel any affiliation. I feel a little affiliation to England and maybe the northeast of England because I grew up there, and Europe. So I can get that a little bit, but then even then, if England are playing soccer, no, I don't want to watch it. In the same way, I don't want to watch the last night of the proms, or it's just I've got better things to do with my time. I think.
This is interesting because we are diametrically opposed about this, I think. Um, Bearing in mind, I'm the person so I'm from the northeast of England, from a city called Newcastle. And I am on record as saying that if I could swap one of my minor toes, has to be said, not one of the important ones, one of my minor toes for Newcastle to actually win some silverware, if that was a trade that I could make with the gods of sport, then I would do it. And you know what? I would. I would do it. I would do it. I would amputate a minor toe if it guaranteed some silverware from a football team. Now that must sound a bit silly to everyone probably, but particularly to you because you've got no understanding of the passion that I've got. You think it's stupid.
Yeah, and you've only got like 6 or 7 of those toes to give away.
No, I know. I'd have to choose carefully, bearing in mind that I was born with an insufficient number of toes. Because what I don't want to do is to have my balance affected in any way and like either lean or like fall over.
Or are you
Um,
one of those people that is born with more than the normal number of 5 or 6? There's quite a lot of people that are born with more than 5 fingers or five toes. Well, I've got more than 5 fingers. Look, I've got like what, 8 or 10, depending on how you're going to call them. But yeah, a lot of people are born with, as I understand it, 6 fingers on both hands, and maybe I don't know if the toes are the same. And it's quite a large proportion of the population, like 98% or something. No, I've just made that up. It's like isn't it like 1 or 2% or even more that are born like that? I don't know. That sounds preposterous that it's that high. Actually,
well, we don't know it's that high.
you're one of them.
It feels like you might just be plucking numbers out of the air. Actually, Phil. I know that sounds ridiculous. No, you know what? I got 10 toes. I've got 5 on each foot. I would probably leave the outer toes just for unbalancing fear, toppling. So I think the next toe in would go, and it would. Probably on my right foot because I'm left-footed.
I
So
feel as
it's
though we're slightly off topic with the toe discussion.
that. I guess what I'm saying is, it's a collateral toe. It could be argued, but it's still a toe. It's still attached to my body, and I would give it up because I'm so passionate about my sports team, of whom I am a spectator. So how can I be so stupidly, bloodily passionate about something that you feel nothing about? So you're from Gisborough, Phil, aren't you? So
Close
so
by to
you
get through, yeah.
so you so so you're from Gisborough, which isn't exactly known for its sporting heritage.
I think
And
Middlesbrough is just up the road, and that's had some success.
yeah, okay, it has done, but here we have a man from Gisborough who doesn't really like sports. So is it any surprise that given that you shouldn't be a big fan of watching sport?
Well, the people I grew up with, they were the local town was Middlesbrough, and they felt some affiliation to that, and I can understand that. That's the closest town, and but yeah, I never got that. Now let's examine your thing though, because Newcastle were many years ago a successful team. I seem to remember, like they were amazing. Newcastle, right on a level many years ago. Liverpool, I seem to remember Liverpool and Newcastle being at the top of the game, literally. 40 years ago, I don't know, something like that. I have no idea how those teams have fared over the last years. Manchester United has also was there or in the ascendance, whatever. But yeah, I have no idea how Newcastle has been doing recently, and I was going to ask you about it, but then I just realised I don't actually care.
Yeah. So if you don't care because you don't care about sport, or because you do care about sport, but you just think the idea of supporting a team is completely alien. What's the nubbins of the discussion here? I think it's the latter, isn't it?
Yeah, it is exactly that. The people are getting really into it, and they have to be. They have to watch the game and watch all the players and everything. No, don't bother doing that. Go and do something more interesting, or and just find out the score later. Like you don't need to sit for an hour and a half, or 2 hours, or 4 hours, or 3 days watching the game take place. No, just
Right.
find the
Okay, that's
result
interesting.
out afterwards.
Yeah.
It's really easy.
Yeah. Okay, so cut. So that's like saying don't bother watching a film. Just fast forward to the last minute and see what happened. Right?
But
Is that
the
what
thing
you?
about a
Is that?
film is a film tells us, hopefully, unless it's a recent one by the guy who did Oppenheimer, tells a
Nolan.
story, right? And so a film is interesting to watch and builds and has a payoff and make at the end of it you really feel as though you've done something good, and maybe that's it. Maybe people feel as though they've done something good by sitting around watching other people do things
Well,
that they've got no
okay.
connection with.
So just while you're beeping away there,
Yeah,
I would argue that sport has a narrative. That sport does tell a story, and it does have a beginning, middle, and end. I would absolutely say that's the case. It's got a larger narrative wrapped around it. I can't think of anything and any kind of cultural phenomenon, right, that has the impact of sport in terms of in terms of popularity, in terms of commercial, in terms of politics. Even we've had this big thing about the guy who snogged the Spanish footballer, and that's turned into like some kind of cultural Me Too movement in Spain, and that's come from sport. So I just don't feel like it can. I think there are stories there, and I think that by fast forwarding to the end, you're missing out on all of the kind of the subplots that kind of percolate around during 90 minutes or 80 minutes or 5 days if it's cricket. You know what? Let's bring things back to Gisborough because I've just had a quick look online there. I think you are who you are because you're rubbish at sport and because you were born in Gisborough. So I've just wikied Gisborough, which is the home of the famous Gisborough Town FC. Who knew? Willie Applegarth, he was a famous track and field athlete from the 14th century, and John Bulmer, who was a cricketer. He was born in 1867. And apart from that, there's nothing really sporting wise anyway to put Gisborough on the map. Admittedly, Selena Scott is from Gisborough, and
I was going to mention Selena Scott, but most
Selena
people
Scott
won't know Selena Scott.
did make me feel funny when I was 13 years old. But that's not sport. Out of spurt, but not sport. And Robert the Bruce is from Gisborough, amazingly. But
Is
again,
it?
nothing.
Is he from Gisborough, or did he hang out in Gisborough? I think
I think,
he definitely hung out in Gisborough
yeah,
Priory,
don't know, don't
but I don't know
know.
if he's from from there.
Yeah, I think Wikipedia gets a little bit vague the further back into the annals of time that you go. Selina Scott definitely was though. But yeah, so I'm saying that were you born in a place with more sporting heritage, and were you to be any good at sport, maybe you'd be a little bit more kind of appreciative of what supporting sport is all about, or not? Tell me.
Yeah, and it's true. I'm not very good at sport. I love to play squash. It's a little bit challenging doing that here because there's not many squash things around. But I never got very good at it. And yeah, but the other thing, my wife said last night that I'm not competitive, which doesn't ring true for me at all. Don't get me wrong. I don't. And this is one thing. I don't care about winning. I don't care about winning, but I can't
Okay.
stand losing. Like that song
Okay.
by I was
Right.
listening to this last night. I can't stand losing. I thought, yeah, this is my song. I can't stand losing. So I don't care about winning. I can't stand losing. So the ultimate outcome for me is either winning, which is fine.
Yeah.
I don't care,
Yeah.
but that's fine, or a draw. That's all right as well. But
Okay.
losing is not an option.
But you play computer games, don't you? So do you like? So what's the difference between trying to win at a computer game and enjoying the success and supporting a team and wanting them to win? Is it purely participation?
Yeah, because exactly. I am the person winning, not looking at somebody else winning.
Okay.
Um,
Okay. Right.
yeah,
So
and
we are getting. So it's a DNA thing, isn't it, Phil? You can't stand losing. You're from Gisborough, and you're rubbish, and you you fall over too much or whatever on the football field. So it's this, isn't it? What about sports where people can die? Do you know what I mean? Where there's a real element like motor racing. Does that change things or not when it's like a
no, I
no?
mean, and I would think that's a bit sick that people watch Formula One for the crashes. What a terrible, terrible thing. Um, no, people being in danger. That doesn't. That's like a gladiator thing, right? Oh, let's the thirst for blood. No, not
Yeah,
interested. Let's not do that.
excellent. Yeah. No, more blood the better, without a doubt. Um, and that's kind of speaks to us as a human race, as half baked usually does. No
I'm
sport,
gonna
no
go ahead.
no sport, no Alan Partridge. That's
I've
just
lived
like
here for
a
23
cult.
years, so Alan Partridge doesn't feature in my life any longer anyway.
That would be a cultural. It would be like a black hole detonating in the UK. It would be a vacuum of huge intensity were there to be no Alan Partridge.
One, one thing I will say, though, I'm going to argue against myself slightly because I recently, about 4 weeks ago, went to see one of my friends I haven't seen for ages in Nashville. In fact, I've never been to Nashville before. He moved there about 3 years ago. It was his birthday. We went along. I landed on the Saturday. He's a season ticket holder for the football, not American football, real football. And the team was playing that night. So he wanted to go along to it. It was some kind of final. It was Nashville against Inter Miami, and so we
David
wanted to do
Beckham's
that.
team.
Went along, and I saw Messi play, who apparently I don't really know what I'm talking about here, but maybe one of the best players in the world. I don't know at the
It's pretty
moment.
good.
Anyway, he was there. It was quite interesting to watch. I mean, I grew up with football, real football, so I understand the rules completely. You don't have to have there's no point where you go, oh, I don't really know what's going on here. I totally understand the rules. In fact, I can spot offside as good as anybody, and I can see when a tackle is not right better than most referees. And it was enjoyable to see Messi score in the 20 minute in the first 20 minutes or so, or something like that. The skill with which he put the ball away was astounding. So I
Huh.
did quite enjoy it. But at the same time, I didn't care who won, right? Because I had no affiliation with Nashville who were playing, no affiliation with Inter Miami, and it didn't really matter to me who won. So I could enjoy the skill of what was happening, but I didn't get. And there was 31,000 people there. It was filled to capacity, the stadium. So that was interesting. But
Mm.
yeah, it still normally I would pay not to go to something like that. Not that you have to do that, but I'd rather stay away than go. And so I just went along, and it was a little bit fun to watch that.
So it sounds like you're, like you said, you are able to see the other side of it. Would you, looking back, would you have preferred not to have gone and just to seen the result in the newspaper the next day?
That would have been fine. I mean, it's a talking point to say that I saw Messi. It's a story I
Okay,
can tell over dinner.
but
That's
you
it.
don't, you didn't really have a. So so I don't think sport exists without the supporters. That's what we're sort of saying. You're saying that sport's fine, but don't be so idiotic as to be passionate about it. I don't think sport exists without supporters. I think if you've got sport, it's like Erdinger's cat, isn't it? You've got
Schrodinger's.
no Erdinger's cat. You've got a pint of beer in a box with a cat.
I
And you
think you're
don't
right.
know.
Without, maybe that's the ultimate goal. No pun intended. That get rid of the spectators, and I don't mean kill the spectators. Just stop being
Although
spectators. Then the
Sunderland
sport
supporters
will
kill
stop.
them.
And this whole thing, I mean, this whole thing about how you have to measure who's the best and who's the fastest and and it's
Yeah.
totally out of control, right? Oh, who can run the fastest 100 meters? Okay, who can run the fastest 200 meters? Okay, who can run the fastest 400 meters? Who can run the fastest 362 meters? No, you don't have to. Why break it? And then you got, oh, who's the fastest man? And who's the fastest woman? Oh God, really? And then you've got to break it up further. Oh, who's the fastest female English person? Who's the fastest female Scottish person? Who's the fastest person called Sarah from Glasgow who can do 272 meters? It's all out of control, and
It's nearly as out of control. It's nearly as
out
out
of
of
control.
control as your voice was going just then,
It was a bit freaky.
which was pretty out of control. Okay, well, you're never going to convince me otherwise. I don't think sport can exist without supporters. I think sport is a wonderful thing. I think culturally, it's like hugely, hugely important. You're never going to convince me any otherwise. I guess I'm interested as to whether you're convincing yourself otherwise, but I'm not sure you are really.
Yeah, the only spectator sport that I can see there's a need for is porn. Everything else, everything else we should just get rid of it.
Again, we're back to Spectator Sports, aren't we? So help me out there. I mean, porn and sport is not a genre that usually mixes. Although I'm not the expert you are, that usually mixes. I don't think, unless you can tell me otherwise.
I think I've taken us down a dead end there. I don't think I've
I
got
think
anything
you
else.
probably have. I think you probably have. Let's wrap up. You're not going to convince me, Phil. No, and the idea isn't that you convince me. Of course, you need to convince yourself. But I'm hoping that I push things back so hard that you're going to have to accept that you're completely wrong on this.
And I can see actually that I didn't put up a convincing enough argument. I can see that. I still very much believe that it's the whole thing is terrible. A couple of things that occur to me: when teams move around, like here, we're fairly relatively close to Oakland. Oakland, one of their teams. I don't even know what it is. The Raiders moved to Las Vegas. Can you imagine Newcastle Town Rovers, whatever it's called, moving to a different city? That would be ridiculous. And it's happened again with Auckland. Auckland, I was looking it up. Auckland had some other thing at the Athletics, who were previously in Philadelphia, and then they were in Kansas, and now they're moving to Las Vegas as well. I mean, it's just all crazy. These things come moving around. So I
I
don't know
guess
how the sport can put up with that.
bring it back to your argument. You would, as you I think just about to say that you would say that the supporters should just kind of wash their hands of the team because it's no longer a team, is it? It's become a franchise.
It's
I
no
suppose.
local team; they're not affiliated with it. That's right. But you're
Yeah,
right, Alistair. I don't think I've done a very good job of putting up a convincing argument. So maybe this half-baked thing, I need
terrible,
to
terrible
I
argument.
need to rethink and resuscitate it in a future episode. But anyway, let's see where we get to with that.
You're gonna can it, I think, aren't you, Phil?
I don't think it can. I think there's something there. I still believe there's something there. So I'm gonna have a second go at it at some point.
Are we popping it in the freezer? I thought we weren't allowed to do that. This is binary. It's one or the other. You're baking it or you're canning it.
Yeah, it's not fully baked. It really is not a fully baked idea, is it? It's very much half baked.
Okay. Well, on that somewhat distressing note, we'll pull things to a bit of an end. Who knew that we would get around Selena Scott and Toes and all other bits and pieces during the course of that? Thanks, Phil. That was very entertaining as usual. Thank you to everyone else for watching. Please do like and share and comment and subscribe and do all those other things as well. And we'll see you again next week for another edition of Half Baked.